What's up, 12? Thanks for joining us on the Seahawks Collective presented by Hog Media. We are bringing you into our coverage of Super Bowl 60. We've got boots on the ground, so ready to soak it all up. And our Seahawks are now in the Super Bowl. So to talk to our Super Bowl insiders, Michael Shandugar covering the Hawks for The Athletic, Brian Nemhauser, who I am sitting right next to today, super excited about it, and his son Isaac with us around the corner, and Rob Staten from the Seahawks Draft Blog. Let us know how you're feeling in the comments and any questions you have for the guys all here today. But it is day 2 on Super Bowl Radio Row for me. We had a great time at opening night yesterday. I got to see Brian. Mike, I saw you quick. I was on the phone running. I'm like, Mike, all the things. But Rob, my big question for you is, will you be making it to the U.S. for the Super Bowl?
Yes, I will be making it to the US for the Super Bowl. And it's all down. It's all down to the man I think he's on your right-hand side. I think I'm right in saying he's sat right there. And it's all thanks to Brian. And Brian has probably got no idea. There he is. Brian has probably got no idea how...
2 shots on Brian.
has got no idea how grateful I am that he has presented me with this opportunity to go. So I will always be grateful. I will never forget this, win or lose on Sunday. And I really hope there is going to be some way that I can pay back this gesture that Brian has paid. But I will be there. And I just can't wait. It's a dream come true. So I can't wait to be out there on Friday when I land in San Francisco and then travel to Santa Clara.
Brother, that is why you've already repaid it, because you care that much, man. I'm so excited that you are coming all the way from London to be here, and it's going to be great. So we're going to have a great time. So can't wait.
I love it. Well, Rob, you're going to make me tear up over here. That was so sweet and so kind, but I'm excited. And Mike, you have to be super excited too, because is this your first Super Bowl covering the Seahawks?
Yeah, this is my first Super Bowl covering the Seahawks. You know, I'm from Seattle, born and raised, South Seattle. So like beyond the fact that it's cool that I know, a lot of the players and a lot of the coaches and stuff, and I'm happy for all those guys. Just being here with the hometown team, which I don't typically care about. Like I don't think I've ever cared about it until like first when I got hired by The Athletic. That was super cool. And then like last week, it was like, oh wow, like my hometown team's in the Super Bowl. That's actually pretty cool. It hit me when I was talking to guys at NFC Championship game. So like to be here, it's super, super dope. With all these veterans who are like, yeah, this is my 5th Super Bowl, or my 10th or whatever. I'm just like, I'm just happy to be here. All this stuff is cool to me. Everything that everyone's annoyed about like any logistics or stuff that was better in previous cities or previous years. I'm like, this is great. The food's great. All this is great. The setup's great.
The
credential
great
setup is great.
Night.
Like, yeah, everything's great to me because it's the first time. So I'm super happy.
That's cool. Well, I found myself going to interview the players at team hotels and even opening night yesterday, wanting to say, congratulations, let's go. I'm so excited. But really, you only get so many words to talk to them. But I definitely can share in that joy as well. But Brian, for you, I'd love for you to just set the stage of what your first couple of days at the Super Bowl have looked like.
Yeah, well, first of all, you've heard people say that there's a little echo. So AB and I will try to mute when we're not talking so that you guys aren't getting feedback. We're going to do our best. It is an absolute like chaos place around here. And it's fun, man. I love being here. AB and I were joking before we started that it is somehow exhilarating and exhausting at the same time. Like I'm like super amped, talk going around, and I literally ran into Albert Breer and I was like, hey, can you come on tomorrow? And he's like, well, can you do right now? And I was like, okay. It was like literally 20 minutes ago, and I recorded like a 10-minute interview with him. And then I see Katie Nolan, and Katie's like, she and I have talked before, and so she's going to hopefully come on the show, and run into Annie Agar, and I run into Mita Kimes and Brian Baldinger, and you talk to all these people that you've watched and respected and what they do, and to be able to kind of share in this experience with them and then be able to transfer it to all the people that aren't able to be here. It's awesome. And then, this bonus where I've got my son here with me for this week, it's like it's a dream come true. And I hope that I can keep this, novel innocence for as long as I possibly can. I don't want to become a jaded media member that this is just I got to drag myself to the Super Bowl and do all this shit. I this is a special place. It's a special thing. It's a real privilege to be here, and I want it to always feel like that. So right now, having the time of my life, and I can't wait tomorrow for media availability, and then a bunch more conversations with a bunch more people. It's absolutely a blast.
It's exciting and it's definitely tiring. I had multiple people come up to me and say, "Hey, girl, you look so tired." But you know what? It's what coffee is for. And a good thing I was born and raised in Seattle, Washington. So Starbucks is my friend. But Rob, I know you aren't here right now, but I'm sure you've been doing a deep dive into all things Seahawks, all things Patriots. So what's one thing that's been standing out to you through this week?
The thing that stood out to me this week is I must admit I've got a little bit tired hearing people fret about being overconfident this week. I understand it because everybody who follows the Seahawks and to some extent covers the Seahawks will be really keen for the team to complete this mission and win the Super Bowl. But I don't think we need to be afraid to just say how this game is. Like the Patriots can win. They could win this game. They've got a great coach. They've got some good players. But the Seahawks have got a better roster, and they've got some great coaches as well. And if they play a typical Seahawks game, they should win this game, in my opinion. And I think that for me, how it's going to be determined is down to two factors. Mike Vrabel said a really important thing last week, which I think is worth paying attention to, is that he tries to calculate how many points he needs in every single game. And I think he is going to determine that he probably needs to score quite a few points in this game. I think he's going to be very aggressive. I think you are going to see them going for fourth downs, probably in their own half. I think they are going to probably have a trick play or two up their sleeve. I think they're going to take their shots. I think they are going to try and make this a high-scoring game and that they're going to be a big part of it and apply that pressure to the Seahawks. So if Seattle can win those battles early in the game, if they do go for it on fourth down on their own 40-yard line, get the turnover on downs, stop them being as aggressive as they want to be early on. I think that's a big thing. And then it's a bit of a cliche. I think it's going to come down to the trenches. How that interior offensive line defends those two great defensive tackles that the Patriots have got, how your defensive line can get after what is not a particularly good New England Patriots offensive line. That, to me, is probably another thing that's going to decide this game. There's so many of these Super Bowls where fourth quarter pressure decides the game. A pass rusher making a big play. I've just got a feeling that it's going to be a player in navy blue who's going to be making that play in the fourth quarter this time.
I gotta just a little pinch ourselves moment, Seahawks Collective wise. It is wild that we started this show in the summer. AB wasn't even able to join quite yet. 2 weeks later, she's on. We were in Renton. She was a host of Patriots shows. And now three of us are already here on Radio Row within 20 feet of each other. And the fourth is on his way to the Bay Area from London. It is crazy, this whole experience that we've had together.
Well, I'm gonna get off mic and jump in here, but I walked into Radio Row on Monday morning early, and everybody's setting up their banners, and everybody's got lights, and some people have got furniture. But there's one banner that stands out amongst them all: the tallest one, the loudest one. Who do you think? It Talk Blogger. Guys, It Talk Blogger. I'm like, I know that banner. So we're all for it, but totally a pinch me moment. And Rob, just to go back to what you said about how it is going to come down to a violent war in the trenches. I don't know if anyone saw Leonard Williams tweet today and two of the photos that he attached to it, but go check it out. It definitely will give you that slice of aggressiveness that they're definitely looking to get into. But Mike, would love to hear from you. You've been around the team. You were at opening night. What have you heard and seen from the guys since they've gotten to California?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I've been trying to get a feel for is how guys feel to be in the Super Bowl, because as much as they're telling us they were telling us, we got to treat it like a normal week. It's well, it's not a normal week, people were waiting for you at the airport with cameras, when you landed, you're all wearing matching sweatsuits, you don't usually do that, so just last night, I probably spent the first 30 minutes of media night just talking to assistant coaches that we don't usually get to spend extended time with, talking to K. Scott for a long time. And I couldn't get to Aiden Durda. He was popular as hell yesterday. But, Jake Peets, some of the other assistants, guys on the practice squads, just how does this feel, it was cool. The young guys clearly have an appreciation for it. Guys like Nicky Moore, Grace Abel, they know, like, I'm blessed to be in the Super Bowl my first year. And it's because they're hanging around 10-year vets like Jay Reed and 11-year vets like Leo Williams who are like, trust me, man, it's not usually this easy. Let me tell you, or Julian Love is in year 7, I think, and Sam who's like in year 8. So you got all these guys who give them that perspective. And then it was just kind of cool to see, all the guys who don't get a lot of media love getting like swarmed by outlets from their college towns or from their hometowns. Like there was like a crowd around Ricky White yesterday. Tons of people talking to Brady Russell yesterday. Bryce Cable dude, Jake Bobo had a swarm. It was that was just dope. They deserve that. Even if they didn't play like Ricky, it's just cool, to get that experience, get that vibe, to feel like you are part of the hoopla as well. And then I was, talking to guys like Quandre and Shaquille. I talked to Quandre for a long time yesterday. He's in year 10, I believe, as well. Same year as Leo, a 2015 class. And like it's special to him. He was part of that. Like, we got to figure out a name for the people who were post LOB but pre MOB, like the middle passage people, kind of, whatever we want to call them. But like Shaquille and Jay Reed and Quandre, like there's like a connection that those guys have from being on those teams in 2019 and 2017, 2018, 2020. And then to be in this moment, even though Shaq and Quandre won't play, it means a ton to them. I was talking to them about that. It was cool. I barely even asked them like football questions for stories that I've been running. It really was just checking out the vibes and seeing guys all the way from Torrey Horton to DeMarcus Lawrence, like get their time with all these international media from Ireland and the UK, and Australia. Michael Dixon had a massive podium following for the first like 10 minutes. That was really cool. That everyone is like grateful to be here, but also is ready to like kick ass on Sunday. Like Byron Murphy, I saw him talking to a few people, and he was ultimately just like, dude, I want to play tomorrow. Like, this is cool, but I would really like to go play in the Super Bowl the next day. So yeah, it was cool. I pretty much was checking out the vibes yesterday, and it was great. It was like a range of emotions from everybody.
Certainly. And I think some of the attitudes too match maybe the shades or the sunglasses that some of the guys had on. I know JSN had some sweet shades on that I thought, man, if I had a bright light right in my face and millions of people ask me questions, I probably want those shades too. They were sweet. But Brian, would love to know from you. You saw the swarms at opening night as well, and I'm sure you've been around even just Radio Row today. What have you heard or stood out from the team this week?
Well, I mean, team-wise, I honestly, last night at opening night, I went there with an intent of like, hey, I've talked to these guys all year long. I don't need to, like, there's a lot of other people that probably want to talk to them for the first time. I'm going to try to give them as much of the space as possible, but I'm going to be
so people like me who were in Seattle all year.
Sure. So I was a little more on the silly side. I had asked guys in the locker room earlier this week, who's someone I should ask a question to of the team, and what should I ask that would throw them? And so I had like Drake Thomas and Jake Bobo going back and forth about who beats each other in chess. And I got Mike McDonald to comment on the locker room controversy about Drake Thomas and Jake Bobo fighting about who's better on chess. And then, we got Derek Hall and AJ Barner going back and forth. AJ Barner wanted to know, he wanted me to ask Derek Hall, who's the guy that gets under his skin the most? And Derek Hall was like, he knows the answer to that question. And then like, he didn't know that AJ wanted me to ask him. So Derek Hall said, I want you to ask AJ Barner who made him a good blocker. And so like, we just kind of like having some fun going back and forth with these guys. And I think Mike really hit it well, which is, I thought it was so cool to see Mason Richmond and Bryce Cable do, and Ricky White and Logan Brown, and guys that don't get as much like time in the spotlight, getting a chance to stand there with their teammates and be part of this. And the funniest thing to me was after like a half an hour, 40 minutes, walking around, I see this like kennel, essentially. Like there's these metal gates, and they've like locked these like assistant coaches in there, and they're all sitting there by this, like John Benton's there, and Justin Outen and Clint Kubiak and Justin Hines and like all these guys. And I'm like, shit, I should stop swearing. Sorry, not my show. We should walk over there, and I'm like, I got to talk to these guys for a while. I got to talk to Mac Brown, and those are guys that aren't normally available. And I'm looking forward to spending more time with those guys the next couple of days while everyone else is focusing on the stars like Sam and JSN and others.
That's cool. Well, everyone make sure to tune into what Brian's doing so you can hear from the coaches. But I'm going to backtrack. I think a really cool moment and a funny moment for me was, I think it was Brady Henderson who posted a clip of Mike McDonald after he got off the plane. He took a picture right before he got on the bus. And I think it's just a good moment to be like, yeah, this is so cool. And he's going to be locked in and serious and focused on this game. But for him to experience this with this team and leading them to the Super Bowl is pretty special. But the guy that led them off the plane and took the first steps down was DeMarcus Lawrence. So, Rob, for you, what does that say about what the team wanted, having him lead them into California?
Well, before I answer that, can I just say, can we take that cage that the coaches were in back to Seattle and maybe just lock them up for a couple of months so that Clint Kubiak doesn't take any of them with him to Las Vegas? That'd be a good plan.
I'll let you do that, Rob. That's why we brought you in. That's
what I'm coming over for. Give me that cage. I'll sneak it back on the plane. Okay, so DeMarcus Lawrence, I think it's fantastic. He is becoming one of my favorite all-time Seahawks, and he's only been there for a season. But just the way that he carries himself, the way that he speaks, the big plays that he's made all year. I've just got a funny feeling that we're going to see a big sack from him in this game. The fact that he had the fortuitous bust, of course, which is going to go down in history. I don't know if you've seen the. I don't know if they would call it a mic talk. They have so many of these sort of videos that the Seahawks have put out this week showing the various different players who've got mics on, coaches and everything like that. They brought out like a third version of that this week. And is it Chris Partridge? I'm getting the name right there for the
yes,
one of the coaches there. He said to him, "You've just made the greatest play in Seahawks history." I think that we might have over-egged that a little bit, but it certainly is the fact that he instinctively did that, and that Sean McVay has given that moment a name forever. It's just amazing. So he's already gone down in Seahawks history for me. It's such an amazing story to see the emotion on with him and his family after the game, because he did that great. Sorry, I'm gonna have to cough. He did that great interview with Brian. So if he does win the Super Bowl, by the way, Brian's probably going to get a lot of views on that video. He'll be able to sort of push that back out again. I've seen so many people talking about that this week. That video that the interview that Brian did, referencing that, look, it's one game away from coming true, that he was never going to win a Super Bowl in Dallas, and yet here he is. It'd be an amazing story, and I keep thinking, like, you know what? I've loved having the backdrop there for a couple of years now, but if they win this Super Bowl, maybe I need to freshen things up, and there's definitely plans to have a DeMarcus Lawrence in the back there if they can win this game.
History in the making. And I gotta say, like, not to overplug Simply Seattle, but I gotta get on the phone with them. I need a Fortuitous Bus t-shirt. Like, absolutely, I will wear a Fortuitous Bus t-shirt. I will wear it all around LA. I'll wear it to SoFi next year. I probably won't get invited back, but come on. I mean, it is so awesome that now that has been owned so completely. And let's hope that's not like the last great moment in what's been a season full of quotable moments from a team that I think a lot of people were saying, like, there's people that said this was kind of a bland team, heading into the year. Mike McDonald's not the most charismatic guy, and Clint Kubiak certainly not the most charismatic guy, and Sam Darnold's not the most charismatic guy, and JSN, like, you go on the online, but how many like great quotes and great moments? JSN, like, they have to put some really, really special. Ernest Jones, like, there's been some great history made for Seahawks fans this year.
There really has with those quotes. And I love that you bring up that moment, Rob, that Brian got the interview of DeMarcus Lawrence, because yesterday at opening night, I actually asked him, he's a believer, and I'm here with Sports Spectrum interviewing athletes on sports and faith. And I said, when was the one moment this season when you felt you really needed to rely on the Lord's strength instead of your own? And he said, when I got to Seattle. Like, there was a lot of hate comments. It was hard on my family. We were moving. And so, you think about the ups and downs that a season brings, and wins and losses, and physical pain, and just the emotional wear and tear that the games bring. But he's talking about before he even came to Seattle. So to think about the opportunity that quote that Brian was able to get from him might have, and to be able to really live that out, is pretty wild. But I do want to go to something that, Rob, you alluded to with the cages talks. But the Seahawks, they've been in the news for some other reasons, other than the most important reason, being here in the Super Bowl. But we're going to get to that in just a moment, right after we share not OG, we'll get to that later, but our Doer gear. We are so excited to be repping Doer and for them to be partnering with us. I really wish that I had my Doer jacket because I'm freezing in the radio row right now. I am so cold. So maybe they can turn the heat up, or I'll have to bring it tomorrow. But I love my Doer jeans. And so, Mike, for you, I'd love to know, how have you been liking your Doer gear?
Oh, great. I packed them. I got them. I'm not wearing them today, but I'm going to have them. Let's see. I planned all my outfits out for the week. I feel like me, JSN, D-Law. I feel like we're fashion guys who got to do that. But yeah, I got them all planned for the week. I think Friday and Sunday. I had a Doer on.
Game day.
Yeah,
Let's
so
go.
I'm repping. Yeah. Oh yeah, gotta make sure I got them for game day. That's the biggest thing. My first Super Bowl. Oh yeah. I gotta be fresh. Gotta be fresh for that.
I love it. And Brian, how are you liking your Doer gear?
It's great. I mean, just like Mike, it was something I made sure to pack. I am with you, AB. I actually made the choice to wear shorts today, and I was like, I can wear shorts. I'm gonna do it, and we've got 70-degree weather. I wish I was wearing my Doer jeans right now because it's a little chilly. They got the AC pumping in here, and yeah, they're super cozy, and the shirt I got from them as well, I love. So yeah, fantastic. It's awesome to be able to rep a brand that you actually really like. And I didn't know Doer before we started working with them. I do now, and I've actually told my son about them. I told other people, I was like, you should honestly take advantage of the deal because it's really great clothes.
No, it's funny now that you say that, I'm seeing Doer everywhere. Like whenever I'm shopping, oh, Doer. It's like it's popping up everywhere. And it's not the algorithm. It's like real life, my own eyes seeing it. But Rob, I guess if you are coming to California, you're either going to have to take one of Mike's fits that he's planned out. He's got Friday and Sunday, I believe he said. Maybe you will get some Doer gear.
He can wear my jeans, and they'll look like capris coming up to his knees, something like that.
Well, San Francisco is the home of jeans, isn't it? So you never know. And the stadium's named after jeans. So there you go.
Oh, hey. I love the double thing there where we can like wear non-Levi's into Levi's. Just a little extra twist of the knife for the home squad. I like it.
Well, we are sitting right next to a almost practically in-house Patriots show across from Brian and I. So we won't be doing any more twisting, but we will be talking about this matchup. But make sure you check out shopdoer.com/GoHawks. You'll get 15% off your first order. And don't wait, shop DUER.com, doer.com/GoHawks for 15% off. Make sure you check it out. We are so excited to have them with us. But we do got to talk about Clint Kubiak because last night, man, he had a group and a swarm of people around him. Mike, how do you feel he has handled the questions, the distractions, but also, staying locked into this game and the excitement? Like, it's an awesome opportunity for him, but there's also an awesome opportunity before him for Sunday.
Yeah, I'm with Brian. The cage thing was definitely weird. It was just like this little metal gate, and all the assistants were there, and there was like security outside of it too, like making sure, hey, you ain't about to dip out here. You got to stay here for an hour. As a parent of small kids, I was like, they got these grown ass men in a baby gate, pretty much matching sweatsuits and a baby gate, so you guys can't leave. But anyway, that's where I knew to find Clint Kubiak. And this was yesterday was probably the worst day of Clint Kubiak, like job coaching the Seahawks, because it was like just sit there and answer questions for an hour. And Clint, that's just not his bag. Like all his media sessions with us every Thursday are like the shortest thing ever. It's a miracle. They're only longer than about 5 minutes if Brian asks him about his family. Otherwise, they are very, very, very short. And it was terrible yesterday because like I got there late, right, when Clint was talking. And I was like, man, I'm sure he's been asked about the Raiders job, but I wouldn't be doing my job as a journalist if I didn't ask and get it on the record for my own audio, right? Because I'm not like I'm sharing audio with everybody. So I went there and like Greg Bell asked him something. He kind of tiptoed around it. And I was like, all right, screw this. Clint, are you taking the Raiders job? And you could tell he was like, yeah, I'm not here to answer that. He gave me some canned thing. I tweeted it yesterday. So you could tell he wasn't feeling that. But within that, he actually did give a great answer that I liked to Greg's question where he said, things haven't been a distraction this week because I'm not putting that much thought into these interviews. He was like, I get ready for them in the summer. And then when they come, like, I'll do my thing, but really I'm locked in on this job. And he was like, his dad told him, you better not be in your office sitting there thinking about interview questions. You better be in your office planning to win that game because that's what matters, that your tape is your resume. And obviously that's a coach speaky answer as well. But the fact that he referenced his father, who obviously was a head coach for a long time, that's genuine advice that you can tell he took to heart when his dad has been giving him that. And so I do believe him. I can see through the coach speak there and believe like meeting with Arizona and meeting with Las Vegas before the biggest game of the year is not going to be a distraction to him. It's just business as usual, something he's been prepared for. So I think that's good. It's also been fun talking to my homies here who are Raiders fans, who are just hyped as hell to get Clint and all these questions we've been getting about what's Clint as a guy. He's not really a rah-rah guy. And I think Clint and Mike McDonald, I think, is a good example of this too. It's like there's multiple ways to fire these guys up, these guys being the players. Sure, the Pete Carroll thing works, or you could be like kind of fiery as Dan Campbell, but I feel like some of these introductory press conferences or some of these other moments get overblown. Like, look at Nick Sirianni was terrible when he got introduced, and like everyone thought Ben Johnson was just like recluse and this weirdo, and he's great, and he fires his team up. And I actually think that's how Clint's going to be. He's not sitting in the big chair now, so he's super boring, super plain. But when he gets in that big chair, I think he's going to be prepared for it, and I think I know these guys want to send him out like on a high note. They're ready to drop 50, and send Clint out, dump some Gatorade on him, multiple Gatorade, whatever, lift him up like Rudy, and then send him off to Vegas with a Super Bowl. So it's been cool. Like, I know Clint probably didn't like yesterday, but I enjoyed it, right? Kind of seeing him get prepared for what he's going to have to do in a big chair, which is do a lot of media. Mike talks every day this week for like an hour. That sucks. I'm sure he hates it. But that's what comes with being in the big chair. So it's kind of cool to see that glimpse of Clint, get a taste of what he's going to get when he's the coach of the Raiders.
That's a great point, because you can just imagine the mental strain that takes on you. Brian and I were joking about how tired we are from asking the questions. We're asking one or two questions per person. That is completely reversed for the head coach. So it's very interesting. But Rob, for you, I think it's 3 offensive coordinators in 3 years for Mike McDonald. Who steps in to fill that role next year?
Well, that's a great question. I don't know, because you look across the picture and it's quite thin for external candidates, isn't it? And a lot of the people who might have been interesting have been appointed, and you're seeing a couple of teams who are already in the business of trying to appoint offensive coordinators. They're stalling out, and people are saying, I'm going to stay with the Saints, for example. I'm not going to come and be the Steelers offensive coordinator. I'm not going to be the Jets offensive coordinator. There is obviously the advantage in Seattle that you get to call the plays and you get to effectively be the offensive-minded head coach, which will be appealing. But it's quite hard to know who could potentially take over. It does make you wonder a little bit whether there's somebody on the staff already that it just is convenient for them to say, take the job, and there's not a great deal else we can do, and let's just see how this goes for a year, and hopefully it goes well, and then you can carry on. But if not, then you're going to have to make a change, and then it'll be 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years. It's not ideal, and it's not ideal for many reasons. And this is something I'm sure we will worry about a lot more after the Super Bowl. But if you want that sustained, continued success, Seattle has got to the Super Bowl because they are so strong, offense, defense, special teams. If there's a regression on offense, they ain't going to probably be back here next year or competing in the NFC Championship. It took a fantastic offensive performance to get past the Rams in week 16 and in the NFC Championship game. So it's not easy, and they're going to need to nail this if they want to carry on having success in the future. And we'll see how they do, because it's going to be extremely difficult to replace Clint Kubiak, who's done a great job. But I'm sure most people will say, we'll worry about that on Monday.
Tomorrow's problem.
And Brian, I'd love your thoughts on this, because it is bittersweet, right? Somebody wants what you have. At the same time, like you said, Rob, it's very obvious the impact that he's had on his offense. So what are your thoughts, Brian, on this?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts, and I'll try to keep them short. My main thought is the Seahawks are in the Super Bowl for the first time in a decade, and over a decade, and that should be the story. And I want to make sure that everyone else doesn't get so wrapped up in the sale stuff that came out and the Clint Kubiak news that, you miss like what is a really special week. Now, I'll also say, as far as the Kubiak news goes, I do believe the Seahawks have such a big head start on where they were a year ago in that regard. You've got a quarterback who's been in the system. You've got an offensive line, the third youngest starting offensive line in the league, that now has played together for a full year and has been coached in this system. You have running backs, at least. We'll see what happens with Ken Walker, but you have running backs that have been in the system. You have tight ends that have been extended or are on rookie deals that have been in this, and receivers as well. So you've got a system. And what's nice about the system that you're in is it's a, Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, Kubiak, Gary Kubiak kind of tree. There's a lot of branches of that tree. So you don't have to come up with some new innovative system. You have to basically find somebody that understands it, that can make those play calls and kind of keep it on the tracks. And my general initial belief heading into this is that I think that they're going to look internally. I think you're going to see a Justin Outen or a Jake Peets be the answer because, I am a little partial to Justin Outen, partially because of the conversation I had last night with him, and I really liked a lot of what he had to say. But this is the guy that has background as an offensive lineman. He's an assistant offensive line coach. He's been in there with John Benton. He's been in the running back room. He has been the run game coordinator. People don't understand that run game coordinator means you actually are designing plays. He's designed the run plays. And you've seen some real success there. And he has been a play caller, not a lot, but he has done the job before. He's been an OC before. I'd love him to potentially stick around and be a guy that they stabilize with. Now, is he going to be the next great play caller? I don't know. And are there some external candidates that are interesting? Yeah, I actually think there are. But this is not a red alert. This is oh my God, the Seahawks are going to fall apart. I think it's more good for Clint Kubiak. I'm happy for him. If this is what he wants, I'm happy for him. Hopefully he goes and succeeds where the last Seahawks coach that the Raiders hired did not. And, you go from there. I'll just say, not that anyone cares about that part of it, but I understand why he took this, and I understand why people would characterize it as an attractive position. I think it's a rough spot he's walking into. I don't like the quarterbacks in this draft. I think if the quarterback who's going to go number 1 overall in this draft was in the draft 2 years ago, I don't know if he would have gone in the top 20 picks or above the first 6 or 7 quarterbacks. He's now your number 1 overall pick. You're going to have to play him right away with a team that is not nearly as set up as well as possible to succeed. And if you look at Sam Darnold, he was in that kind of situation in New York, and look what happened. So I feel like this is a rough spot for Clint Kubiak. I wish him well. If I was giving him guidance and he'd be smart not to listen to me, I would have said, take another year. You're going to get you're in a great spot. You're going to win more. You'll get another opportunity. I don't think this is a great spot for him. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it really goes well for him.
It sounds like someone who really wants to keep him in Seattle, Brian. But, this is the good thing is that whoever comes in next, the standard is the Super Bowl. So they won't have a large task at hand for themselves. But, Brian, you did mention it, and I do not want to spend a ton of time on this because we have a lot to cover. But for each of you, and Rob, I will start with you. If you could choose a new owner for the Seattle Seahawks, who would you choose?
Oh, my God. What a question. What a question. How do you answer that? Who do I want to own the Seahawks? I mean, I don't have a great knowledge of the billionaires of America. I'll be honest. I mean, I know a couple. But
sure, you don't, Rob.
There's a couple of them over there that I don't think people will be that interested in buying the Seahawks. But I honestly don't know. I tell you what I do want. I want an owner who is not remotely controversial, and I think I do think the NFL has learned a lesson. I think the Haslams in Cleveland and with Tepper in Carolina, they realized that they came in and it wasn't a good look when David Tepper was throwing drinks on people, and it wasn't a good look with Haslam having the flying pilot J or whatever it's called. It's all that story going along, and the balmy decisions that he was making. And I think they've probably refined the search somewhat a little bit on who's going to enjoy this billionaire boys club. And Walter Penner in Denver seemed to be a lot less controversial. And I know there's perhaps been some news in the last few days about Josh Harris in Washington, which I have not studied up on, so I can't speak too much of that. But up until that point, had been fairly uncontroversial since he took over the Commanders, really. And that's a difficult team to own, given who lives down the road. So I think that it has been maybe a bit of a sea change there. and that perhaps we can look forward to someone fairly modest coming in who is not going to want the limelight. But that said, I do also have a sneaking suspicion that the reason the NFL might be pushing towards this is because there is perhaps one particular candidate who is saying, I want in, get me into the NFL. And the NFL's feeling a bit of pressure there. And he's saying, I don't want to, the price of these teams is going up and up. I don't want to wait for another top NBA team to be sold and then the price goes to 10 or to 12 billion or anything like that. I think there's a bit of pressure being applied here saying, get me in this club. That team's supposed to be sold. You make this happen. And maybe we can guess who that individual might be.
Mike or Brian, do you have any strong feelings about this? I know we got one person saying, let the 12 zone in. I kind of like that idea. I don't know how the math of that would work out, but that'd be pretty special.
I have a very similar kind of thing. I would love to see like some former players own it. Bobby Wagner's talked about ownership for a while now. And then I know that's something that he's going to get into at some point. I probably can't say much more than that, but I know he don't got the bread alone. He's not a billionaire, but I'd love to see him be part of an ownership group that gets involved by the team. Marshawn Lynch is like, his business savvy is like anyone I've ever heard of. Is already, I think he owns part of the Kraken, I believe now. So like, I would love something like that. They would need someone else to get in there and like, pull the money together, to Venmo each other so they have enough bread to send Jody for the team. But I would love something like that. What I can say is like, I was talking to Bobby at the Commanders game, and he was just telling me about all the wisdom that he soaked up from Magic Johnson in this regard of like going from a player to ownership. Magic owns like a third of LA, and multiple franchises, Dodgers and then Commanders. So yeah, no, it won't happen. I don't think, because they don't have the bread, but I would love, and I don't think there's any black owners, but I would just love to see something like that where you got guys who are really connected to the team, being part of the ownership group. That would be super fly to me.
I love that. And I've got a few takes on this. I'll say this. I want Jody Allen to sell, like, more than anything else. I want her to find someone and sell it significantly below market value. Sell it for $1 billion. Sell it for $500 million, to screw every owner in the NFL that is forcing this deal to happen to a team that's already in the Super Bowl and operating really well, because they want their valuations already as billionaires to rise in a league that's making billions already. Like, shame on them for putting any pressure and this rule that the trust can't own a team. Whatever, the trust has owned a team for 8 years and the NFL is doing just fine. So I would love that, because Jody's not going to profit from it. It's going to go to charity. Now, that's the downside. I would love charities to get as much money as possible, but I'd love to stick it to the owners that think that their valuations are going to go up as a result of this. So that's one take. The other take I've got here is, it's less about who, it's about the kind of person. You're not going to be the hero here. You are not saving the team from moving somewhere else. You are not building a Super Bowl team from a team that's never done it. This is a Super Bowl team, and it's honestly one of the best franchises in the NFL over the last 20 years. You're not the hero. So check your ego at the door, which is hard to do for billionaires because they think that they're God's gift, most of them. So you have to come into the situation and say, what can I add to what's already working without upsetting the apple cart? That means pouring money into the scouting department, because there's no cap. There's no salary cap on coaches or front office. Have more scouts than anybody else. Have more coaches and assistant coaches. Have a better analytics department than anybody else. Those things you can spend money on. Make the best field conditions. Make the Lumen Field the top stadium from every technological standpoint that you can. Make the practice facilities, the training facilities. That's how you can have an additive value as an owner without thinking that you're the reason the team's winning, because that's already proof that you are not. Last thing I'll say is, I love the idea of Marshawn Lynch somehow being John Schneider's boss. Like, let's have that happen one way or another. Richard Sherman, I know he said he wants part. Like, let's have Richard Sherman and Marshawn Lynch go in and call a meeting for a one-on-one or a two-on-one with John Schneider. That would be, I would love to be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
That would make for a very great, what are they calling it? The Seahawks Insiders documentary. That would make for a very good opening episode of the new regime from the front office. But it is a special week. That means it's also a special week here on the Seahawks Collective because we get to shout out a new sponsor, OG. If you're a Seahawks fan who's always saying, oh, I knew that was going to happen, OG is the place for you. After listening to our Seahawks Insiders on this collective, I know many of you have to have had this experience. It's a prediction market platform where you trade real world outcomes instead of traditional sports betting. On OG, you're trading a simple yes or no outcome contracts. For example, you can trade outcomes like, will Seattle win the big game? And yes, why am I even asking that question? Prices move in real time based on market demand and really showing how confident the market is. OG prediction markets are derivative products offered by crypto.com, Derivatives North America, a commodity futures trading commission regulated exchange. It's available to eligible users, but some state restrictions will apply. Right now, OG is running the big game bonus. So if you sign up and start trading predictions during this campaign window, you can have a chance to earn up to $500 in bonuses. And maybe you can use that money to get yourself in the new Seahawks sale. Maybe you can, give $500 towards that. But this is the really interesting part to me. OG isn't just sports. You can trade markets across politics, economics, and more, while also engaging in live chats with others. As we've learned from this show, you all love to talk to each other, so you can get live in the chat. So go ahead to OG.com or scan the QR code on the screen. Definitely check it out. We're so excited to have them with us for this special Super Bowl week. But let's talk about some injury news on both sides of the ball. We know the Patriots linebacker Robert Spillane is dealing with an ankle injury. He seems to be playing for Sunday. Obviously, he will be hurt. But we'll see how that shakes out. And then what really, has taken over the media is we've gone from Sam Darnold's oblique to Drake May's arm. And so I'd love to know from you, Mike, what are you hearing about Drake May's arm? Is this a serious concern? Obviously, we believe that nothing would stop him from playing on Sunday, but what should we know about this?
Yeah, and the little bit that I've checked in on is one there's varying levels of the spectrum here on Patriots fan panic. Some was like, oh, damn, like we're going against the number one defense and our quarterback's not okay. That's not great. And there's some was like, cool, this is kind of where I've heard and where I kind of generally fall when it comes to players playing in the Super Bowl injured. Unless there's a bone sticking out, typically, or there's like a blood clot situation, guys are playing in this game. There is nothing stopping most guys from playing in this game. You sprained MCLs or whatever, elbow dislocations, you pop all that in, you do whatever is in the CBA medically to get your body, ready to go out there. I imagine Drake will do that. That's kind of what I've heard. There's another guy, I think Harold Landry dealing with something too. Same thing with Spillane, like all these guys, you pop whatever the CBA allows you to pop, you get shot up with whatever the CBA allows you to shoot, and you go out there and you play. I imagine pretty much everyone on both sides, really, because the Seahawks are pretty healthy too, will be doing that on Sunday. It's going to be really hard to get guys to miss this game unless you like legitimately have a bone sticking out, or like you might legit die because of blood clots out there. Otherwise, I imagine all the key players on both sides will be out there. At least that's kind of the sense I get.
And Robert Spillane is a hard-nosed football player, but also so is Brady Russell, a guy who left the NFC Championship with a hand injury. And obviously, nothing is going to stop Brady Russell if you know anything about him or really saw his haircut. Brian, can you speak about the haircut that Brady Russell is going on? This guy is a direct descendant of William Wallace. So, he is tough as nails, to say the least.
I don't know that I can do justice to talking about Brady Russell's mullet. I mean, it is a thing of beauty. And he's kind of cultivated over the course of the season because he's kind of always rocked a little bit of a mullet, but he kind of went hardcore later in the season. And I don't know, I can't say for sure, but it might have coincided with this win streak that the Seahawks are on. So, goes over some William Wallace vibes. And if I could think of some good Braveheart lines, I would try to recite them right now. But I think this is a guy that I think has been a quiet part of this team's success. Special teams has been, if not the best special teams unit in the league, it has been the second best special teams unit in the league. And Brady Russell has been arguably the most valuable player on the special teams across all units. So he's really well respected by the coaching staff, by the players. And this was a guy that I really was excited about last year. I actually thought he had something to offer as an H-back and a little bit as a tight end. Fortunately, he's had a couple drops this year that he's gotten some hassle by his fellow teammates about. But you know, he there's no question in his heart. There's no questioning how much effort he puts in, and it's great to have. Like the Patriots actually have their own kind of ace special teams guy, and the Patriots kind of have a history of having one of those kind of guys on their roster. And I think people forget about past Seahawks teams, like the Heath Farrell and the 2013 Seahawks special teams had some of the best special teams players that then moved on. And the 2005 team had some of the best special teams players. So I love those guys and how they contribute to teams and in ways that are a little bit out of the spotlight.
Well, I certainly am a huge Brady Russell fan, so excited to see him out there on Sunday. And Rob, for you, Mike McDonald could make history, becoming the first head coach to serve as the primary defensive play caller as a Super Bowl champion. But how do you think he's going to handle going up against this Patriots offense?
I think the challenge is going to be that this offensive line is going to be extremely tempting. It's going to throw its line out, and it's going to be like dangling out there, and the defenders, the defensive line can go and take the bait and can go and get after Drake May. But that sometimes might not be the best thing. It doesn't feel to me like the Seahawks have played a particularly excellent mobile quarterback this year. And this is a little bit of a different challenge, and he can get out and into space. And then when he gets a bit of a crease, he can make a run. We saw what Josh Allen did to the Seahawks last season. It can be an X factor, and he is a good enough player and enough of a playmaker that he can win this game for the Patriots. So finding a way to rush him whilst also finding a way to contain him is going to be the big challenge. But I do think that they're going to be able to do it. I was not a big Will Campbell fan going into the draft. I was a little bit surprised that everybody felt that he was the top 10 lock. I don't think he played very well for LSU in his final year there. He's now come into the NFL. The lack of length and the performance has more or less carried on, frankly. And I know he's been a little bit banged up, but that's not helped the situation. I think you can get after him. I'm really looking to these pass rushers now. I rewatched the Patriots Seahawks game from last season and noticed that Boya Mafe had a big game against the Patriots last season. And I just wonder, he's had a quiet season, hasn't he? And he's not had the sacks that he would have looked for. He's not going to go into free agency with the kind of momentum that he was looking for there. But I just wonder, is his parting gift maybe going to be that he can make a couple of plays? I do think that sort of speed element against Campbell and the other tackle on the other side is going to be a big factor here. So I'd be interested in that. I do think Nick Manwari, they're going to have a plan for him to maybe be a bit of an X factor in this game as well. They're the kind of players I'm looking forward to seeing. And I do think the Seahawks are going to be able to do enough damage defensively to put their offense in a great position to win.
Well, Rob, I love that about Boye Mafe. And I'd love to know from you, Mike, when you look at this Super Bowl game, in the NFC Championship game, we saw Jake #MoreBobo get in the end zone. We saw Derek Young come up with a big play. Who on this Seahawks team do you feel is due for a big play in the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think probably one of the outside cornerbacks. Because if to what Rob mentioned earlier about Vrabel calculating how many points they're going to need in this game, I agree. To get to whatever number Vrabel lands on, they're going to have to take some shots. If you come in here planning on having a bunch of 10-play drives, 11-play drives on Seattle, that's just stupid, right? I don't think Vrabel and Josh McDaniels are dumb, right? They're going to be like, all right, let's get a 4-play scoring drive that one of them has like a 50-yard bomb to Kayshon Boutte in it or something like that. Well, how do you get that? Try to get downfield against Job, downfield against Reek, downfield against Spoon. Not saying it'll work, but you got to try it. Whether it's late in the game, 2-minute, whatever, end of the half. And so for the Seahawks to win this game, which I think they will, someone's going to have a big moment here. And that I would have guessed that would be Job or Reek, probably Job, because if I was the Patriots and I'm like, all right, which corner am I least worried about, killing us if we throw it deep? Probably Job, just because of the foot speed and some of the measurables too. So I would imagine if the Seahawks win, it's probably because one of those guys has their version of Richard Sherman's tip or something like that. Or maybe they get to pick themselves. I could see something like that. Or just maybe just a big rep on 3rd down or 4th down or something like that. Because these guys from the Patriots, I'm going bombs away on these guys and trying to not steal a possession or steal scores, but in essence, yes, like 50-yard bomb, 40-yard bomb, a big post, try to get one over Kobe Bryant's head or something like that. So I could see a DB or maybe Kobe, who hasn't got tried much at all really this year, being a hero, having one of those hero moments, on a big 3rd down, big 4th down, or something like that. Because this team Drake's been one of the best deep ball throwers in the league, if not the best. His receivers are excellent at tracking those deep balls, making those tight window catches. But Seahawks have been excellent too. Their weakness is not throwing it on the corners. Puka games aside, every other game that's not held true. So I think the Patriots are going to try it. And I think a Seahawk like Job or Reek or maybe Kobe, someone who is just due for one more big play on defense, is going to make it on Sunday.
If I had to describe the Patriots offense, at least in one word, it would be explosive at any moment with any wide receiver, even Kyle Williams, right? Rookie.
Go Cougs, Kyle Williams.
A lot of people, right, exactly. A guy who a lot of people might not even know. And so, Brian, for you, just hearing you talk about that, Mike, got me kind of fired up about the plays that we're going to see on Sunday. But Brian, for you, who is maybe that guy that is due for a big play or just a play that you want to see? It could be Rashid Shaheed again, take it home all the way on the kickoff. But what's a play that you really want to see on Sunday besides a win?
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as a player, I think Mike's spot on about Kobe Bryant. I think is going to be in position. This guy's been a ball hawk his whole career, and I could absolutely see him getting some opportunities in this one. And I think that there's a few players on both sides that have my attention, and they're not necessarily the guys that everyone would talk about. I think Mac Hollins for the Patriots is a guy that he's a big target. He makes some contested catches. I think he's going to be a guy that could figure into this game. And I think Julian Love is due for another big play as well. He had that great interception in Carolina. This is a guy that like Mike and I have seen him in practice just really bait quarterbacks, throughout training camp. And we have not seen as many of those kind of impact plays from Julian this year. And there's no question he's an excellent player, but this would be a perfect game for the safeties to really show up because to your point, AB, this is like the most explosive offense in football, and they do try to push the ball downfield. I'll just say this, everyone's it's gonna be annoying listening to people talk about, well, like the Rams just went deep on Seattle and had all these explosive plays, and yeah, but I'm sorry, no one else has Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams and Matthew Stafford. As much as I respect Drake May and as much as I respect the Patriots, they don't have the guys to beat Devin Witherspoon the way Puka Nacua did or Devontae Adams. They don't have the guys to beat Reek Woolen one-on-one. I just don't believe that they do. They have other ways that they can do damage. But while everyone's going to be talking about the passing game for good reason, I do think a lot of this is going to come down to the run game and the run defense. And what I think still gets underrepresented in conversations about Seattle and the defense is this is like a absolute destructive force against the run. They are one of the gap between the Seahawks run defense in DVOA and the number 2 run defense in DVOA is the largest gap since 1991. So they are that dominant against the run. And Mike Vrabel is going to do everything he can to establish that, to help protect his quarterback and lessen the load on his shoulders. Good luck. Ramondre Stevenson is a battering ram. Travion Henderson is a really explosive back, but he's also the worst pass protecting running back in the NFL. So I do feel like the run defense, if you can stop the Patriots from getting some decent yardage on the ground, I think it's a really, really tough game for them to win.
Well, Brian, that was a test to see if you would be allowed in the locker room to give the Seahawks secondary a little pump-up speech before the game. And yes, I think you won on that one. So we'll hand that to you. But I'm sure you all have a big week coming up. Rob is coming to town. Rob, when do you get here?
So my flight is is Friday lunchtime UK, and I then land in San Francisco at 3 p.m. So it's an 11-hour flight. So it's a long way, and it's never comfortable on a plane when you're this tall. So I'm not looking forward to that. But when I get there, I'm going to somehow find a way from San Francisco airport to San Jose and living it up. I've never been to California, so I'm looking forward to getting out there. The weather is undoubtedly going to be better than it is in England, so I cannot wait.
It will be. It is beautiful out here. We are excited for you to get here. And Mike, what do you have coming up? What are you going to be doing during the week? I know there's team hotel media availability. What are you going to be covering?
Yeah, I mean, I'm writing stories like pretty much every day. I got to finish one up right now. We're previewing the show, or excuse me, the game on the Seahawks Man-to-Man pod every week. We got another part coming out, I think, in a couple of days. We just had Amina Combs on the show this morning. That's on where you can get all your podcasts. I'm just busy as hell. I'm doing stuff all week. Like if a normal story I write is like, let's say 1,200 words, and I might write 3 of those a week, during the regular season, I'm up to like 2,000 word stories a day or a week, like it's just hundreds and thousands of words in audio being churned out. So if you see me at my laptop, chances are I'm transcribing, working on a story, but it's good. I'm hoping I'm getting a lot of eyeballs on my stories. A lot of people probably reading me for the first time. So I'm hoping everything's good, but then I also want to cater to the people who've been reading since like training camp and stuff too. So it's a little bit of a balance there, but yeah, Mike's working, got stuff all week leading up until game day. And our video team got me doing stuff too. I'm on 1 Million People's podcast. You guys can see me at the athletic show.
Gotta be fitted out for those videos.
That's true. Yeah, I'm everywhere. Athletic football show, all the stuff we got on the Athletic. I'm on Scoop City later this week. So I'm previewing the game literally every way possible this week before Sunday.
I love it. All right. And Brian, what do you have coming up here at the Hawk Blogger Radio Row set that I get to crash in on for a little bit? This is a nice little perspective I've got here. I can see everything.
I don't even know where to start. I mean, we'll have Jeffrey D. Morgan on again. I think we'll have Adam Ray on again. We're going to have Ted Wynn from The Athletic will be on tomorrow. I've got my Albert Breer interview all aired tomorrow. We're going to have Michael Gervais, the performance psychologist who's worked with the Seahawks. He'll be on. It is going to be wild. All the conversations. Katie Nolan, I think, might be on. Annie Agar might be on. We've got a lot of people. So we did 4 hours today. I'm losing my voice as it is. We'll see how long we go tomorrow. We'll also do team availability. So I'm just hoping I'm still standing by the time we get to this game so I can sit and enjoy.
You are sitting right now. We are sitting.
This is true. Thank you for helping me. My brain's not working that well at this point, but yeah, lots to come, and hopefully giving people as much of a taste of what's going on here as possible.
Well, I'm right there with you. I'm leaving, I think, Radio Row at like 6 a.m. to take the shuttle to the Patriots team hotel tomorrow and then get right to the Seahawks team hotel to do some interviews for Sports Spectrum. But man, what a week we have. What a week you all have. We got Rob coming in to California. Super excited for his first time in California. But we are so excited to cheer on the Seahawks and really watch history unfold in real time. Make sure you stay tuned to potentially more to come from the Seahawks Collective. Hopefully we'll see you another time later this week. Stay tuned for an announcement. If not, we will see you post an incredible Super Bowl run for the Seattle Seahawks. I'm Annabelle Hasselbeck. We are less than a week away from the Super Bowl game. Thanks for tuning in with our Seahawks Insiders 12s. Bring a noise, be loud, we're wherever you are, and go Seahawks.